Hello, everybody. Greetings, good evening, and welcome here to the Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're here tonight to do a What's New episode. So it's going to be a little bit late. I was over on Will's Rush page where they were doing a replay of Caress of Steel, and the talk was about the end of Down the Tubes tour, which if for most of you who know that, Rush, when they made that album, they thought that this was going to be the end of them. So anyways, we were there watching that video. I was there for the entire thing. Great. He does a great job on it. Fantastic show. But as a consequence, I'm going to be late with this particular video. And it made it even worse because almost finished the video and then I erased it. Something not quite right about me and computers. Anyways, we're here to talk about an episode called What's New. The album we've got today is from a band called Edensong. The album is, Our Road to Dust. So, and talk a little bit. I'll give you some of the background a bit before we get going. So it was released May the 9th, 2025. Recorded at the Firecat Audio in New York City. James Byron Schoen on production here. Album length is about 32 to 35 minutes in that time. In that amount. Personnel on it, James Byron Schoen on guitar and vocals. TD, or Ben Towers, on bass and vocals. Barry Suroff on flute, bass, and I believe he plays alto and tenor sax as well. Nick DeGregorio, I think I got that, as close as I'm going to get anyways, on drums and percussion. Additional musicians on this are Chris Baum on violin, Shelby Logan Warren on mellotron and keyboards, Stefan Pelly on piano, and Robbie Schwartz, Josh Wigler, Emily Fox, and Alana Rosen on backing vocals or on vocal fills if you want. So there are a total of 9 tracks on this album. So for me, this band, this is my first experience with them. I've actually ordered 2 albums at Laser's CD. I'm going to go in and finish the order when we're done this. But this one and their debut album were the 2 I ordered. So it has 9 tracks. This band has a kind of a wide range of music going on here, which is good because sometimes if you get the same type of music, song to song, by the time you get to the back half, you kind of lost it a bit. But they do a bit of different stuff here. So first of all, they sound almost kind of Scandinavian in their sound, basically because they're the ones doing this kind of stuff now. Most bands don't do this kind of stuff. Anyways, they're actually an American band, which is kind of surprising. I didn't know that. Apparently from New York City. No surprise there since the album was recorded there. But I get a kind of, at times, a kind of metal feel for the band. Heavy metal feel, prog metal feel, lots of prog sound to the album. You get some folky stuff here, some classical stuff here, maybe a little bit of poppy stuff as well. So there's a little bit of everything. There's a lot of variety here. All the tracks are interesting, and a lot of them are pretty memorable stuff. I gave this album a very high score for most of the songs. It's probably going to make my top 10 albums for sure in June when I do the halfway point of the year for What's New. So we'll talk a little bit about the tracks now. Hopefully I won't bang the button and erase the video again like I did earlier. So the first track is called Ascents. It's an acoustic classical guitar bit. Very catchy, very mellow, very pleasant song. It was a nice start to the album. It kind of it warms you up to the album right away. It's not very long. It's only a minute and a half or so in length. And the next track, which is Illusion of Permanence, this then immediately jumps into this very heavy riffing guitar part. Vocals are varied. You got one guy who's kind of a mild, whispery in the background type vocal, and then the other one, which is a high, heavy part. So you got this kind of this going on, and there's multiple voices here. It's not just one or two, but the two dominant voices you can hear that way. You hear some background stuff going on too. At times, a little bit of that growly feel to it. It doesn't go to that length. It's not growls, but it gets almost there a couple times. What was this? Yeah, there's a part in the song. I'm not sure how far into the song it is, but there's about a minute or worth of stuff there. It sounds very late stage Rush, like maybe Clockwork Angels type feel to it. That's what came to mind when I heard it. Feels very, very much like that. And then you got some good rhythm with some very complex instrumentation going on here. And then there's a little bit of a flute sound in the background. I think it's flute, anyways. That's what it sounds like. The third song, These Old Wounds. Again, back to that kind of noisy, it's got a little bit of a noisy opening followed by a more mellow bass flute sound kind of in the background there. The vocals are more mainstream or medium in sound, actually probably a little bit on the nondescript. The album is, though, excellent in its production sound. Absolutely killer. I love it. You can hear everything clear as hell. Some heavy, at times, guitar riffing throughout this track, and then some very heavy kind of distortion to the guitar almost. So it kind of goes to that length here. Now, these first three songs, I gave them all a 7. They were all good songs. So I wasn't sure what was going to happen, but no surprise here. This is an absolute great album. The next track was called Black Crow. This was one of my 2 favorites. Gave this an 8. It's got some nice harmony vocal parts to open up. Absolutely killer. One of the best I've heard for a long time. It gives you almost a feeling of sorrow. The instruments are a bit subdued and more in the background. And the vocals are, of course, more dominant and very, very multi-layered here. So really good. And then there's some nice acoustic guitar parts. Almost folky at times. So yeah, I love this track. It was one of my 2 favorites for sure. Next track up, Hall of Statues. Opens with an acoustic guitar bit with a synthesizer flute background sound going on. I don't know if there's too much synthesizer there. It could be just flute, but it sounds like a mix of both. It builds a bit of some odd percussion beat sounds. Vocals are very mainstream sounding, like right down the line. It builds, adding more of a heavy distortion guitar part to it. And then it kind of backs off a bit and becomes more pastoral in sound with some flute, acoustic guitar, and some backing vocals. So a good song, one of the better songs on the album as well. The next song is the other one that was probably my favorite. In fact, this is probably my favorite. I think it's called Book of Complaints. Heavy guitar dominated riff to open this up. Really heavy. Nice stuff. The vocals are forward, aggressive, a bit husky, but a little bit with that high part to it. So it's husky, but you got this almost a high soprano sound going on there as well. And it's a catchy, fast-paced rocker to me. That's what this song is. Its soloing is dominant along with its riffing, so both of them going at the same time. It's a complex, great riff, lots of stuff going on. Fantastic track. Next is Of a Sense. This is a kind of a reprise from the first one, which was acoustic guitar dominated. This one's more flute dominated. It's kind of a folky track with some mellotron. I think it's mellotron. It sounds like mellotron parts to it as well. That was probably the weakest of all the tracks on the album, and I still gave it a 6.5. Weicker bassist or based. I'm not sure how you pronounce this. It looks like it could be a bassette. So Weicker bassette. I'm not sure. This looks like a kind of a Finnish sounding name to it, but very different, which makes me almost feel like this is a Scandinavian band. I have to remind myself they're American. Heavy guitar opening, types of guitar used to create it almost has a bit of an oriental sound to it, or a Far East sound to it if you're more into that. It's got some nice acoustic dominated parts as well. some violin and some flute, dominant parts as well. It's got a bit of a windy guitar sound as well, and it finishes very bombastically. Great tune. Liked it a lot. Next up is, and that track, by the way, was an instrumental. There was no vocals on that track. I think it's the only one on the album like that. Next up is the longest track on the album. I did like this one too. Our Road to Dust, the title track. It's mellow. It's got like a spoken like word going on here. Then it's got a heavy part that's dominated by the flute and intermittent between heavy and symphonic parts with these kind of pop, rock, and symphonic vocals. The flute at one point with the keyboard part is pretty mellow. So it's kind of up and down. It's almost like a couple of peaks and valleys there. But great tune, great album. I liked it a lot. I highly recommend it. I'm going to purchase it myself tonight. I had thought about purchasing it a few weeks ago, but I already had a ton of stuff to put in my video this afternoon, so I didn't really want to add any more to it. Okay, so that's it for tonight's What's New, featuring Edensong and their album, Our Road to Dust. Excellent album. I highly recommend you go see it, or not go see it, I mean go listen to it if you can get it. If you want, you can find it on Bandcamp, or you can find it on Laser CD. Both of them have it up, so you can listen to it if you want to give it a try. I'll be purchasing it probably tonight as soon as I upload this video. So anyways, thanks for coming out and thanks for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe. If you want to make any comments about Edensong, you can do that in the comment section below, or about their album, you can do that as well. And we will see you next week with another episode of What's New. So take care and goodbye.